The RTX 2080 Ti was once the absolute king of gaming, but does it still hold up in 2026? With so many refurbished options and newer cards on the market, it's hard to know if you're getting a deal or buying a dinosaur. I didn't just look at benchmarks. I actually bought the top used 2080 Ti models and pitted them against some modern alternatives to see where your money should actually go. Product number 1, nvidia GeForce RTX 2080 Ti Founders Edition. When I pulled this renewed Founders Edition out of the box, I was reminded why this design is legendary. The heavy dual-fan metal shroud just feels incredibly premium in your hands compared to modern plastic cards. Since this is a renewed unit, I was worried about wear and tear, but mine looked brand new. In terms of performance, this card still rips through games at 1440p. I cranked up the settings on some older titles, and it didn't even break a sweat. However, because it's the reference design, I noticed it runs a little hotter than the aftermarket cards I tested later. The fans have to spin faster to keep up, so it's not the quietest card in the world. If you want that iconic collector item look and solid performance without paying full retail, this is a great pickup. But if you want something newer. Product number 2, Gigabyte GeForce RTX 3060 Gaming OC. I grabbed this Gigabyte RTX 3060 to answer a big question. Should you buy an old flagship or a newer mid-range card? Holding it, it's definitely lighter and feels a bit more plasticky than the 2080 Ti, but the WindForce cooling system is solid. My favorite part during testing was the 12 GB of VRAM. That's actually more than the 2080 Ti's 11 GB. Performance-wise, the 2080 Ti still beats this in raw frame rates, but the 3060 runs way cooler and supports newer DLSS features that the 2080 series struggles with. I noticed I got smoother performance in modern titles that rely heavily on AI upscaling. If you are worried about buying a used card that might die on you, getting this newer architecture is the safer, smarter bet. However, if you have a specific case setup. Product number 3, zotac Gaming GeForce RTX 2080 Ti Blower. Next, I tested the Zotac Blower Edition. This card has a very specific purpose. When I held it, I noticed it's strictly a utilitarian design, no flashy RGB, just a simple shroud. The blower-style fan is designed to push hot air out the back of your PC rather than swirling it around inside the case. I put this in a smaller mini ITX build, and it kept the system temps down because it acts as its own exhaust. The downside, it gets loud. When I hit 100% usage, it sounded like a hair dryer was running on my desk. It runs hotter than the others, too. Honestly, I'd only recommend this one if you are building in a tiny case with terrible airflow or if you plan to stack multiple cards together. If you have the space for something bigger and better. Product number 4, MSI Gaming GeForce RTX 2080 Ti Gaming X Trio. This MSI Gaming X Trio is an absolute tank. When I tried to install it, I actually had to move my hard drive cage because the card is massive, but that size pays off. The build quality is fantastic, with a brushed metal backplate and a ton of RGB lighting that looks great through a glass panel. Real performance is where this shines. Because of that massive heatsink and 3 fans, this was the coolest and quietest 2080 Ti I tested. I was able to overclock it and squeeze out extra frames without the fans sounding like a jet engine. It stayed under 70 degrees Celsius even during long gaming sessions. If you are dead set on getting a 2080 Ti and want the absolute best performance possible, this is the one to hunt down. Product number 5, Gigabyte GeForce RTX 5070 Ti Eagle OC. Finally, I had to see how the old king compares to the new generation, so I tested the Gigabyte RTX 5070 Ti. Holding this, it's surprisingly compact for an Eagle card, thanks to that SFF small form factor design. It's got this clean, white ice aesthetic that looks incredible in a modern white build. I know this is a different class of card, but the jump to GDDR7 memory and PCIe 5 is noticeable. Everything feels snappier. I noticed load times and texture streaming were instant compared to the GDDR6 on the older cards. The WindForce cooling on this is efficient, keeping it silent even while crushing 4K settings. If you have the budget and aren't strictly looking for a bargain used card, skip the 2080 Ti and just get this. It's future-proof. Whether you are hunting for a bargain on a used legend like the 2080 Ti or looking to upgrade to the latest tech, there is a card here for your build. I've left links to all of these in the description below so you can check the current prices, especially on those renewed models. Thanks for watching.